Who kill you? In the other hand, I got some new pills. What you gonna say? What you gonna do? When I'm in the club, I'm coming for you. I'm just a smooth motherfucker. What you gonna say? What you gonna do? When I'm in the club and I'm coming for you. I'm just a smooth motherfucker. What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Okay. Let's see. What up? How you doing? Welcome to the Banks Podcast. Brand new to TikTok. You know, I like to do my lives on an intellectual basis. Even though I'm rocking out right now. You know, we're going to what I'm doing is taking my show from Bigo. What I'm doing is I'm taking my show from Bigo and I'm bringing it to TikTok, since now I am a broadcaster for TikTok officially. It's time to go ahead and do what I've always wanted to do, is bring more of my content that I've been withholding from TikTok and only posted and only broadcasting to Bigo. I bring it to Bigo. A lot of you guys like my political stuff, my little rants and everything. But they're not just rants. They really come from a intellectual and historical foundation. So I have something special for you guys. Who we got there? I can't see the name, but I have something special for you. I'm also now an official book critic. So I guess this is the perfect time for me to make this deal with TikTok, because the books that I'm reading for you guys, unlike on my Bigo platform, most people have never read them. So this book right here is called What Makes America Great. I know if you see my posts on this book, I said it when America was great. I did that on purpose, because technically, I am not supposed to give out any spoilers. But being that this is live, and you know, I'm also giving my review on this book and my my thoughts and opinions in this book as I read. And the book is written by Bob Dole. So those who are fans of Bob Dole, you are in for a treat, and I'm going to read this book. Bob Dole is a staunch defender for Trump. He spoke up in Trump's behalf many times. So knowing that, I was definitely had to make this my first assignment as a book critic. So, how you doing? Where there root beer? Where there's root beer? Okay, I got you. What up, Where There's Root Beer? Thanks for tuning in to the Banks Podcast. This is my debut. You know, I didn't really advertise this because I didn't make the deal with TikTok until yesterday. So I decided before, I go through the training and everything, because I know the agency supposed to contact with me on some training. Once the official tag is placed on my TikTok, I don't need the training. I'm just going to go live now. And then, catch me when you can, because I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? I keep things moving. So I'm going to go ahead, just give me a couple more minutes. I want to give a couple more minutes a few more minutes allow some more viewers to tune in, and I'm going to jam out for those 2 minutes. Let some people tune in. I have a goal, as you can see. More people donate to my channel, the more TikTok will boost my channel, because it sees that it generates revenue. It doesn't really make a lot of money for me. The 100 basketballs, I think that comes to what, $1, I guess. I don't know. I think one NFT is like a cent or something like that. Anyway, it takes a lot of them to equal $1. And it's just to let TikTok know that viewers want to keep me here, and they want to keep content like that. So if you like my show, don't hesitate to donate to the channel with literally like 0.02 cents of a contribution. If I get 100 viewers, 100 basketballs, that'd be perfect. But anyway, let me get a couple more minutes. I want to see if some more viewers are going to come in so they won't miss the beginning of the book. Till then, I'm going to jam out for these 2 minutes. What happened? Oh no. Oh yeah. My remote, which is nothing but my joystick. Alright. I'm back. Okay, I'll give it we have 0 viewers. Okay, so I guess that's cool. I'm gonna let it wait for a couple more minutes, because 2 is not really a whole lot. I need to post a joint live. How you doing, Wild Helix? Welcome to the Banks Podcast. About to start this book reading called "What Makes America Great" by Bob Doyle. Bob Doyle has been an avid defender of Trump. He said a lot of good things in his defense, and why this is a treat is most of you have never read this book, because the reason why going official with TikTok and doing this was perfect timing, because I'm also an official book critic. So this is my first assignment as a book critic, is to give my review on what makes America great. I think it's only 74 pages. So I'm going to read this live. I don't think I'm going to get through all 74 pages, because I got to get my 2 cents on what I'm reading. I am paid to review this book, so that's what I'm going to do. And I hope you enjoy it. All right. So this is completely legal. All right. So let's go ahead and get the show started. All right. What makes America great? This is actually copyrighted in 2019. The original copyrights. For orders, order information on this book, you can go to www.toplinkpublishing.com, or you can call 1-888-375-9818. So I want to start with Dear Reader. This book is a narrative summary of my findings garnered from an extensive review of America's past as revealed in historical and literary documents. We're weary of the incessant 24/7 bias attacks on President Trump, who in the 2016 election rode the campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," into the White House. I decided to go to original sources for a more objective perspective. I was delighted with my findings, so much so I felt compelled to organize them into narrative form for sharing with anyone interested in a documented perspective on what makes America great. And to accommodate reader convenience, I have kept the narrative succinct as the book's small size confirms, that it can be read into one sitting should time demand. Bob Dole. What makes America great? The greatness issue, Donald Trump's riding the Make America Great Again wave to the White House in the 2016 presidential election, not only shocked, but in varying degrees angered and disgruntled the liberal-minded establishment. Not to mention some of the conservative-minded establishment as well. Pundits, politicians, and celebrities immediately began expressing their disdain for Trump and his Make America Great Again campaign slogan. New York Governor Cuomo expressed deep disdain by voicing his counter statement, "America was never great," saying Make America Great Again presumably means that America was once great and that it can, through enlightened leadership, become great again. Saying America was never great presumably means America's previous existence was mediocre at best and a miserable failure at worst. How you doing, Angel Bravo? Thanks for joining the channel. If you want to know what I am reading, I am doing a book review on What Makes America Great, written by Bob Dole. Now, I want to talk about that. Now, I remember when all this was occurring like it was yesterday, I was deeply saturated in Atlanta Wood. You know, that's what we call Hollywood in Atlanta. We called it in Atlanta. We called it Atlanta Wood. When Trump first ran for president, I have to embarrassingly admit that I didn't vote. I thought you thought I was going to vote for Hillary. Or who was the other one? The psychomaniac liberal. Jesus. Who was? Okay, you're in the comment section. It was Hillary. Who was on the left? Hillary, and then your other boy, the old ass white man, looked like he from the Back to the Future movie. That's what remind me of the mad scientist. Say his name in the comment section, please. The mad scientist from the Back to the Future movies. This what this politician remind me of. He sound like him. He's super liberal. Why I can't say his name to save my life right now? I don't know. I have a mental block. It's gonna come to me. But anyway, being that I was so much in bed with Hollywood, I didn't never have anything against Trump. I just didn't want to support him because I was with the tribe. And I didn't like Hillary. I didn't like anybody on the left, so I just didn't vote. I wanted Rand Paul to run. That's who I wanted. And Rand Paul didn't run, so I stood out the election. Because I was partially brainwashed by the media. The media saturated the market with negative press against Trump. You need to ask yourself why. For those who hate Trump, who will be watching this, you need to ask yourself, why was the media, the media of all that, the media, I don't really think is the moral fabric of American society. If the media, mainstream media, is the moral fabric of American society, then American society I've already failed. I don't think the mainstream media represents the true inner thoughts and views of average everyday American citizens, and it never had. So why would they go on a tirade, a witch hunt against a man for ever liked regardless if you ever liked the direction this country has been in the past or in the present, in the ancient past to the most recent past or now? You cannot deny that America has been great for most of its existence. Now, let me tell you, great and right is not the same thing. Napoleon was great. Now, was he always right? No. You know what I'm saying? Hitler was great. He's a great orator and charismatic individual. He's a great con artist. You know what I'm saying? He was a great evil man. You know, him being evil and him doesn't negate the fact that he was great. Okay, so just understand where he's coming from when he talks about that at the end of this paragraph that I just read out to you, about saying that America was never great. It's to say that America has been mediocre. Compare that to what? Compare that to what other country? If you compare that to reality, to the other nations across the globe, then you have to admit that America has been great. Now, if you compare that to some mythical kingdom in your imagination, then America is mediocre. But whatever you're comparing to do not exist. Okay, so I want to continue to read, so I definitely agree with that. But you need to ask yourself, why? Why is a power structure who really has majority of his existence has acting against the moral fabric of mainstream America since its infancy, going back to its first Hollywood production, which is Birth of a Nation. Going back to then, they popularized the Ku Klux Klan in its very infancy of mainstream Hollywood. That was their first project, is to popularize the Ku Klux Klan. So it always has went against the moral fabric of mainstream America. So you just sitting outside and being non-biased, you have to question, you have to classify Hollywood as not as a non righteous entity. It's something that does not speak for every American when it comes to morality. You have to acknowledge that. So why would an immoral group of people attack one man? Let's continue to read. Okay. Wait, did I get too far? Okay, Bob Doyle. The greatness issue. Donald Trump's riding the Make America Great Again wave to the White House in the 2016 presidential election not only shocked but in varying degrees angered and disgruntled the liberal-minded establishment, not to mention some of the conservative-minded establishment as well. Pundits, politicians, and celebrities immediately began expressing... Okay, I think I just read all this. Okay, let me move forward. Okay, here we go. Now I'll find where we at. Sorry about that. One thing for sure, the country is passionately divided over the issue. Witness the 24/7 discussion and debate on cable news and social media, often conducted in a highly partisan and inflammatory manner. Obviously, the American greatness issue is of utmost importance, but little or no valid insight comes from listening to the incessant name calling and partisan bias. So what does one do? Having given the matter considerable thought while reviewing a mountain of American history and literature, this concerned American has put together a narrative that addresses the issue from a historical perspective, a narrative that I would very much like to share with anyone willing to listen. If you're on board, please hear me out. Hold it. One more thing before we embark. In the interest of full disclosure, I should reveal that I grew up thinking America great. I should reveal that I grew up thinking America great. I think that was a typo. Let me remind you, like, a lot of these books have not. I don't think this book has actually have particularly been published. So I'm paid to review this, but let me read that again. I think that was a typo. So hold it. One more thing before we embark. In the interest of full disclosure, I should reveal that I grew up thinking America great. Yeah, I think grew up thinking America is great. I think that's what they were supposed to type. Okay, that's a mental goddamn. Take a mental note on that when I send in my review of this book. Okay, but I like the direction the book is going. So let's continue reading. I enthusiastically repeated the Pledge of Allegiance in school and elsewhere, gave thanks for the privilege to freely worship God, and to pursue a vocation of my choice. Was I naive? That's the question that motivated me to research and review the history and literature of our country from its beginnings, and particularly its beginnings where directives were established and foundations were laid. Now, hey, for all that's tuning in, thanks for tuning in to the Banks Podcast. This is my debut on TikTok. I just signed a deal with TikTok, so what I'm reading, what I have always done on Bigo, that those who've been following me, seen me promote my Bigo podcast, I do readings from all kinds of stuff, from historical stuff, social issues, comic books, whatever. Warning, permanent ban will issue if live does not end within 30 seconds. Okay, I finally get viewers, and where I'm going to get a permanent ban. It's a lie, it's a fake. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Like, what is that about? What the heck I done did? I ain't got nothing illegal going on. So you saying this notification warning, permanent ban will issue if live video does not end? That's a fake? Thanks. Thanks. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. I'm just reading books. I'm not cursing. I'm not swearing. Thanks. Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Okay, so that bothered me. Thanks for letting me know. Basically, so, that's what I do. I do readings. So what I'm reading for you guys is a book written by Bob Dole. He's been an avid supporter of Trump, and he wrote a book called What Makes America Great. So I'm reading the book live for you guys, and also giving you my thoughts and opinions, and also checking for any typos of that nature so I can put it in my report. So thanks for tuning in. We're going to rock out on TikTok with the Banks Podcast and give you all of my content, and not just the little videos y'all, the little rants y'all used to seeing me going. So, let's continue reading. We're going to start. That's the question let's go start with the question. So, for those who just tuned in, I enthusiastically repeated the Pledge of Allegiance in school and elsewhere, gave thanks for the privilege to freely worship God, and to pursue a vocation of my choice. Was I naive? That's the question that motivated me to research and review the history and literature of our country from its beginnings, and particularly its beginnings where directives were established and foundations were laid. Now, having addressed transparency, let us embark on our investigative journey, beginning with America's birth. What the records reveal: Reformation, birth, and Bible orientated. I know a lot of my Christians are going to love this part. The Reformation birthed America. Sounds strange? Not so strange if you know the history of the Reformation, the great religious revolution that swept Europe beginning in 1517 when Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses on the church door in Wittenberg, Germany. This German monk and professor of theology sparked the Reformation by publicly challenging church practices, particularly the practice of selling indulgences. Wow. And church doctrines, particularly the doctrine of salvation. The public debate began in Wittenberg, spread across Europe, accelerated by the newly invented Gutenberg printing press 1440. The debate turning violent triggered the 30-year war that divided states over Catholic doctrine versus Protestant doctrine. Though the 30 Years' War ended in 1648, the war of words continued, as Protestant theologians continued their protests against Catholic doctrines by submitting their own. Subsequent to Martin Luther, John Calvin, 1509 to 1564, emerged early on as one of the leading Protestant theologians, and particularly the one who most directly affected American thought via England. Out of his theology emerged the Puritans who, beginning near the end of the 16th century, became a strong force in England. Their goal was to purify the Church of England, meaning to rid it of Catholic practices. Facing stiff resistance, a number of Puritans began looking toward the New World as a better place to pursue their mission. One early Puritan leader holding this view was John Winthrop, 1587 to 1649, lawyer, lay minister, and founder of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, 1630. Preceding the Massachusetts Bay Colony was the school book famous Plymouth Colony, the Mayflower Pilgrims, who landed in America in 1620, led by the steadfast Puritan William Bradford, 1590 to 1657, the colony's longtime governor. Not only did John Winthrop and William Bradford serve as longtime governors of their respective colonies, then referred as plantations, but also penned famous documents recording their burning desires and efforts to establish a God-centered commonwealth in the New World. Bradford's History of Plymouth Plantation and Winthrop's Sermons, a model of Christian charity. Now, I'd like to stop there because a lot of people don't see this country as a Christian nation or religious country. There is a separation of God, separation of church and state, kind of. There's never truly really been a separation of church and state in America. It only kind of been that because the country was founded on the sheer expression of freedom of religion. It was religion within itself that drove hundreds of thousands, then later millions of Europeans to this country. Now, some people might disagree with me. Some people might think it was to pursue slaves. That might account for less than 1% of the immigrants who came over here. The immigrants was coming over here because they was trying to get away from pseudo-Christianity. I'm sorry to offend anyone who's a Catholic. You know, when I call Catholicism pseudo-Christianity, that doesn't mean if you're a Catholic that makes you a bad Christian. If that's what you was raised up, that's all you know. You're only doing the best that you can. But if you know anything about Constantine, and Constantine, who is the man who took over Rome and took over the Roman Catholic Church, he didn't accept Christianity until his deathbed. He was a avid believer in Egyptianology, and he was into what the founding fathers of Greece were into spiritually. So he was a pagan, and what they did with Christianity when he first adopted the religion, it was for political gain, and he merged a lot of their pagan ideals, which you can see in Hollywood today, into the religion. And this is what the Protestants and the Puritans were rebelling against, and taxation and a lot of other things. So to see, what are your thoughts on the issue? To see today the founding principles that built this country, the principles that our foundation was built on in America, is being pushed out of mainstream society and being frowned against. It's being looked. If you're a Christian today, and I'm not even a Christian, so this person is standing outside the box. I'm Muslim. For those who don't know, I believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, but I believe everybody's entitled to their own books. That's in hadith. And if you follow your religion the way it was taught to you, then you have earned you a place in heaven. So as a Muslim, I have to, it's my duty to support all religions. So I think it's crazy to see that religious people in today's time are being demonized, when you really think about it, it's also demonizing everything that this country is built on. You're demonizing your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents. You're demonizing your old culture. You're demonizing the soul of this country when you demonize Christianity. So let me continue. Thanks for tuning in. For those who just tuned in, my goal is to make $1 off this broadcast. I think that's what 100 basketballs come out to. The only reason I have set a goal, because I have reason why this is my first live broadcast. I am official broadcaster for TikTok. So if you want to see, more of people that you like being promoted from within the platform, then just appreciate you. Gift. Wait, who sent me the 100? Whoever sent the 10 roses, I appreciate you. I can't, and it's not really showing me who sent it. Is that Donnie? Whoever sent it, I appreciate you. Yeah, so the more TikTok can see that people like me and it actually can generate some type of revenue, they will keep content like that on my page. Appreciate you. Can I follow you? Bam, I got you. Got you, Gage. All right, so let me go ahead and continue to read. And thanks for going on this journey with me with this book. The book is called What Makes America Great. Before I end this broadcast, I want to show you how to actually order the book. This is written by Bob Dole. So let me continue. The Plymouth Colony lacked the wealth and education level of the Bay Colony, but they certainly shared their religious fervor, as is well documented in Bradford's of Plymouth Plantation. His history of the colony is filled with references to Providence. He interpreted events, whether good or bad, in terms of God's will. When the colonists encountered a challenging event, his solace would be a Providence reminder. Witness the steadfast faith revealed in his response to the colony's challenge of crossing a perilous ocean to inhabit a new world wilderness. Since their desires were set on the ways of God, they must rest on his providence. Likewise, when the colony experienced a favorable event, he is also quick to designate it provincial. Witness the Squanto event. Squanto, a friendly Indian who speaks English, comes to live with the struggling colony, serving not only as their interpreter, but also their hunting, fishing, and farming guide. Bradford describes him as a special instrument sent of God for their good beyond their expectations. The frequent use of such phrases as "here it is to be noted, a special providence of God" throughout of Plymouth Plantation to introduce a special event explicitly emphasizes its providence theme. So, knowing that, like, this country, you know, when the first immigrants were coming over here, as you can see, they were welcomed by the natives. And most of you know this, you know, we taught this in school, but just think of the psychology here. If they were welcomed by the natives and there's already a whole lot of persecution, I wish whoever keep on putting this fake message on my thing, can I block that person? Because yeah, I need to block you. You starting to irritate me. Scammers, man. Just make sure I block this person. Yeah. Enough of that. Okay. Now, why would you have a problem with history books? You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. Anyway, so just think about that. You know, when people say America was never great. Now, I'm reading this book for the first time with you guys. I had never read this book before. Like I said, most people have never read this book. I'll be getting the hookup to read and give review and submit a handwritten report back to the company what I think about the book. Also check for typos, and y'all on this journey with me. But this just shows and reflects that America was not built. It didn't get started on what people think it got started on. People, including me as an African American, it was drilled in my head, the public school, through my parents, that America is built on slavery. Like, slavery was already an institution that was well all the way around the world. It was well established. Every country, every nation was involved in the slave trade before the word United States were ever formulated, before there was ever a constitution. So let's just get that out the way right now in the beginning, so you can get that sink in. It was already something. America didn't start slavery. Slavery was already going, and Africans invented it. Okay? The Moors made it popular worldwide. Read some history books that your school teacher didn't give to you, and you will find that out. So America didn't start slavery. The concept of building a new world here was a spiritual movement, is what I'm trying to get over to you guys, and even the natives, which I'm part native, embrace. So that's what we got here when we talking about Plymouth Plantation. Let me continue. This providential view, I have a speech impediment. Please, I'm trying my best to say these words. This provincial view was rooted in the mindset of many early American Puritans who viewed themselves as the new Israelites, called to model God's will for the world to witness. Immersed in covenant theology, they reasoned thusly: when the Israelites, God's chosen people, failed to live up to their covenant with him, he sent his son to establish a new covenant. This time 12 apostles instead of 12 tribes. The church instead of the temple. But in their view, the church, after some 1,500 years, was miserably failing to carry out the new covenant. Consequently, the church must be reformed. Its present practices must be purified. Yet, in their minds, a century of debate and a 30 years war had made little progress in the needed reform. More specifically, England's break from Rome by Parliament declaring their king the supreme head on earth of the Church of England. Say that again. Yeah, you heard that? Yet in their minds, a century of debate and a 30 years war had made little progress in the needed reform. More specifically, England's break with Rome by Parliament declaring their king the supreme head on earth of the Church of England. So basically, they were saying that the king of England was the God of the world, king of the world. Whoa, boy, was that... If it was that one, your biggest act of historical arrogance I ever seen. But here you go, let's continue. The Act of Supremacy, 1534, did not bring about the reform the Puritans deemed necessary. Consequently, they reasoned in their mission to purify the church and dedicated themselves to that purpose, many believing they were in a covenant relationship with God for doing so. Yeah, how you doing, Murray the Goat? Yeah, I know. The book I'm reading right now is called What Makes America Great, written by Bob Dole. So I'm here doing a reading for you guys. This is my first time taking the Banks Podcast official. The first time I took the podcast to TikTok. And because I'm an official creator with TikTok, so for those who like this content and want to see more educational content, because this is mainly what I've done on the Bigos podcast, help me get to my goal of 100 basketballs. I think that equals out to like $1. Just to let Bigo know that the viewers want to see more content like mine, so that the channel can grow. So if you want to see, creators promoted by TikTok that have more conservative values, then let TikTok know that you want to keep me here, and they can do what they say. I think a basketball is like 0.02 cents, but still is money. So put your money where your mouth is, like the old saying goes. But let me continue. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Needless to say, their efforts often trigger persecution. England's King James, 1603 to 1625, threatened to harry them out of the land, or even worse. Consequently, the Plymouth Group soon left England to live in the Netherlands for several years before coming to America. An act they viewed as provincial, they belonged to the more radical Puritan reformers, who were referred to as separatists, because they advocated separating from the Church of England and setting up churches outside the established order. Although the Bay Colony Puritans were not classified as separatists, they ultimately decided that at best, even provincial, they pursue their purification efforts in the wilderness of the New World, where they would not be harried by the king of the church officials. Okay, this is like this little sidebar, since I also paid to review this book. I think Bob Dole should be more flexible with his wording. He used provincial a whole bunch of times, and it becomes redundant. I'm gonna make sure I put that in my report. You should use other words synonymous, so they don't feel like they're saying the same word, especially a person with a speech impediment that have a hard time pronouncing certain words. So, hey, that's the middle mark. I'm gonna put that in my report. But as far as the content, I love it. Okay, so in 1630 they set sail for America, arriving only a decade after Plymouth Colony. dedicated to the exemplary and covenant bound. On the way to the new ward to set up a Bible-centered commonwealth, their leader, John Winthrop, aboard the lead ship Arbella, penned and delivered his famous sermon, a model of creation. I don't know if that was it's spelled. I need to look up and find out if that is a word. CHRIATIAN. Creation. He could be trying to say Christian charity. That's what I was about to say, but the word is pronounced creation. My other device is charging. Forget it. I'll look for it later. I mean, I could look for it now. What I'm talking about, I'm on laptop. Hold on. Let me see. Hey, do anyone knows does the word creation exist? Okay, let me see. I need to look that up because I don't want to say that is a typo. Yeah, that's a typo, buddy. Yep. So okay. Shit. I should start writing this down. I'm gonna do that next time. I'm gonna keep a pad, but I got it here. I'm accurate. I can remember stuff. Okay. So that was a typo. So we call it that one. You know, I don't think this particular book is published, even though it's copyrighted in 2019. That's like that's the second typo we call it. So, and I'm pretty sure there was more. I'm not the best English instructor. Okay, you go. Dedicated to the exemplary and covenant bound. On the way to the new war to set up a Bible-centered commonwealth, their leader John Winthrop, aboard the lead ship Arbella, penned and delivered his famous sermon, a model of Christian charity, in which he spelled out their mission and the covenant premise on which it depended. His sermon explicitly expressed a view that became widespread among the Puritan colonists. The view of their New World mission being a covenant mission. Bible and covenant are the catchwords in Winthrop's A Model of Christian Charity, after explaining that by providence humanity is diverse, rich and poor, weak and strong, but ideally are bonded through Christian love. The bond of perfection, the bond to be cultivated and perpetuated by the Bay Colony. He further explains that this bond must be grounded in a covenant relationship between the colonists and God, that its success depends upon the colonists' obedience to the covenant. He writes, "Thus stand the cause between God and us. We are entered into a covenant with him for his work. We have taken out a commission, and the Lord has given us leave to draw our own articles. Now, if the Lord shall please to hear us and bring us in peace to the place we desire, then he has ratified this covenant and sealed our commission. But if we shall neglect the observation of these articles, which are the ends we have propounded, the Lord will surely break out in wrath against us, revenge of such a perjured people for maintaining obedience to their covenant." He exhorts the colonists to follow the counsel of the Old Testament prophet Micah, to do justly, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God. Doing so, Winthrop argues, will make us such a praise and glory that persons will say of subsequent colonies, "Lord, make it like that of New England, the Bay Colony." For we must consider that we shall be as a city upon a hill, a phrase echoing a passage from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7, in which he addresses his disciples saying, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden." Unquestionably, this exemplary city upon a hill concept permeates early American literature. So, I'm not saying that early America was a peaceful place and that we had no problems or nothing like that. This is not to negate the Indian worlds and the worlds with Mexico and the Spaniards and all other bad stuff that happened. My point is, it was not all bad, and there was a lot of good things that brought people together in this country. The seed, the impregnation of America, what gave birth to America, is what I'm trying to say, was built on Christian principles, and it was to pursue spiritual freedom. All the other negative stuff happened afterwards, but the fabric on what it is to be American is spiritual in nature within itself. And as you can see, everything that I'm reading here, and this is based on speeches and writings of John Winthrop, and also Thomas Jefferson. So let's continue to read. How much time we got here? Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up after, I guess, this next passage, and then we're going to check with each other later. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to read and wrap this up. And if you have any comments, feel free to put it in the comment section. Okay, so here we go. I like how John Winthrop put that: a city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Yeah, I really like that. That's kind of like, that's dope. That's like, you could put that in the rap verse. But let me continue. Witness the often quote portion of the Declaration declaring under the laws of nature and nature's God that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. In early American literature, whether sermon, history, diary, poetry, or political tract, we see God, providence, and the exemplary motive voice, sometimes explicitly, sometimes implicitly, but consistently expressed in their document after document. Let us note a few lines from a less well-known document. Edward Johnson's epic wonder-working providence of Sion's Savior in New England, 1654. Johnson envisioned the Puritan colonists coming to America as participants in a cosmic epic, the war between good and evil, between Christ and Satan. Thus, through an epic framework, Johnson elevates the event to the universal significance. The fate of humanity depended on the success of the Puritan mission, and that, at this point in the tumultuous cosmic war, Christ recruits an army of true believers from England for purposes of establishing an exemplary God-centered commonwealth in the New World. He writes, When England began to decline in religion, Christ, the glorious king of his churches, raises an army out of our English nation, from freeing his people from their long servitude under usurping prelacy, corrupt clergy. Johnson then envisioned Christ Jesus stirring up his servants for service in the Western world, and more especially for planting the United Colonies of New England, where you are to attend the service of the King of Kings. To know this is the place where the Lord will create new churches and a new commonwealth together. So on the voyage, when exposed to the dangers of tempestuous seas, show whose servants you are by calling on the name of God and publishing your master's will and pleasure to all that voyage with you, that it is his mind to have purity in religion. And upon your landing, see you observe the rule of his world. For neither larger nor stricter commission can he give any. Make sure that you search out the mind of God, both in planting and continuing church and civil government. And let the matter and form of your churches be such as were in primitive times, before Antichrist's kingdom prevailed. Do all of these things and thereby prosecute this design to the full. So, it seems like everything goes full circle. The old nation, which was England and Britain, they had fell into corruptions. And this is why we separate church and state, is because the church was the state in the old kingdom, and they fell into corruption. Bringing old Constantine, Masonic, Mason, Egyptian cult worship into the religion. And cultism with itself is built on a caste system. I don't care if you're outside the cult or you're inside the cult. All cults, I don't care what cult you join, is built on the concept of big I's and little U's. That's why they always poke in the eye. Because they believe in the big I and little U's. They believe in that system. A cult within itself contradicts democracy. It goes completely against democracy. So they took something good and they infected it with something satanic, which created a backlash of religious fever. It made people clinch onto God more tightly, and it created a rebellion. And it seems like that's what they're doing today. And I personally believe that they're doing this intentionally, and it's for the whole sole purpose of staying in control. Because there's another book I would like to read for you guys called The Rulers of Evil, written about a man called Lorenzo Ricci, who interpreted the first Sun Tzu's Outer World out of his original tongue. And he was a part of these secret societies. They like to pick the villains and the heroes. If they could create the problem, then they hold the solution. They know how to fix the problem because they're the ones who created it. So then they provide the solution. and it's normally given to you through personalities. So they create the villains and the heroes and keep us in the constant circle, which always gives them the control, because within that control, they can control the future, they can control your destiny, they control your fate, they can always stay in control. So they know that what they doing now with trying to take parents' rights over their children and pushing pretty much Roman pagan culture into mainstream society, because that's why you go to college. What do you fraternity boys and frat girls claim when y'all take that oath? You claim your allegiance to Greek culture. So all this thing with the the pedo attractive stuff that they're talking about, being sexually fluid and not having any preferences, all that goes back to what? Easter. As a Christian, you're not supposed to celebrate Easter. I don't care where they try to rebrand it. You know where it come from. I mean, for real. Would you celebrate Hitler's birthday if I rebranded it for you? Ask yourself that. Would you celebrate Hitler's birthday if I rebranded it for you? Easter is still a pagan holiday. I don't care how many times. I don't care how many Christians lie about it. It's a fertility holiday where they have wild orgies with the same sex and the opposite sex that come from ancient Rome, and it's been pushed into mainstream society. The church embraced it. You think some of you Christians think y'all woke? Boy, the deadening of the human consciousness started a long time ago, way before now. You just made it to the first level out of it. But this country was built on a rebellion against the church for a reason. We came here for religious freedom. Why? Because the religious hierarchy were persecuting Christians, spreading lies, destroying the religion. So, I really think this book is very interesting. So, for those people who are Christian, don't be a blind Christian. Never be blind to anything. Walk into the room with your eyes open. Don't have blind faith in nothing. Saying that you blindly follow anything, saying that you willingly are participating in being a fool. Because you gonna literally walk into the room with your eyes closed when God gave you eyes to see. Why not use them? So that's all I got to say today, guys. I'm going to do this. I'm going live again tomorrow. We got to finish this book. I got 60 more pages to read to you guys. And I got it. So I'm not going to BS on finishing this. And I'll tune in tomorrow at 11:30-ish for the Banks Podcast. And I would like to sign out by saying, told motherfuckers. Peace out.